Playground of Colorism. Now, whenever I would talk about colorism for the last 17 years on the internet, I would get comments like that, telling me that the abuse I endured, I didn't have to believe what people were saying to me, that I didn't have to go along with what they're saying, that I could have just rejected everything they were saying. Well, that's not how trauma works. That is not how social conditioning works. And it's crazy because I would always get comments from dark-skinned people saying the same thing. I got joned on, I got roasted, it didn't bother me. Well, that was you. Maybe you had a better support system around you. Your experience is not my experience. There are different variables. The only variable that we all experience that's remotely the same is American media. Past that, all the other variables are different. Now, for example, with these variables, I'm gonna use two of my friends. We're gonna call one Matt, and we call the other one Gerald, right? Gerald is my best friend. Matt was a good friend at some point in my lifetime. I met them both in college. They're both about the same exact skin tone. Both men you would describe as light-skinned male. They both are reddish, brownish color. They're both straight, they both cis. Matt is 6'4", Gerald's 5'6", stocky. They both are stocky because Matt looks like a football player, Gerald looks like a football player, he's just shorter. Now, whenever I would talk about colorism around these guys, Matt, the taller one, would absolutely reject the idea of colorism. He didn't believe it was true. Anything I would say, there was a but after that. There was never any discussion. There was never any digging deeper than skin surface things. Now, when we talk about Gerald, who's my best friend, Gerald, whenever I spoke about it, he absolutely concurred. Now, you're probably saying, oh, y'all are best friends. The reason why you were, no. The reason why I bring up Gerald is because Gerald, Matt, and me, we all grew up in the same exact area. We experienced the same exact media. We all fucking nerds. And Gerald completely rejected social conditioning of dark skin is bad. Completely rejects it. And I didn't have to talk to him about colorism. He would say, man, I see it all the time. These fine ass dark skinned girls out here, motherfuckers would be like rejecting them for like some medium ugly piece, white women, ugly light skinned girl. He would say that shit all the time. Like, I didn't have to prompt him to say any of that stuff. That's how we became best friends. We could just have conversations over and over again. Whereas Matt, he's the type of dude who would always talk about how ugly Serena Williams were, and found out last night he told his ex-girlfriend that Michelle Obama looks like a man. That's what he told his ex-girlfriend. She said it to me last night. I wasn't surprised because I heard him say that Serena Williams looked like a man over and over again, and I was infatuated with Serena Williams when I was coming up. So that's what I mean by variables. We all grew up in the same exact area. Matt kind of grew up in Atlanta for like a little bit of his middle school, but then he came to the DMV and we all grew up in the same exact area, experienced the same exact media, and both of these guys who were both considered attractive by women, one of them outright he does not play that colorism shit. He do not play about his dark-skinned women. He loved dark-skinned women. Whereas Matt they have to be light, bright, damn near white in order to be considered attractive. And he is loud and proud about that. So those are variables. So two dark-skinned people can grow up in the same exact area, experience the same exact media, and come out with two different thought processes because of the variables in their lives. Like me, I had a stepmom who was very colorist, and her mother lived with us. Where did she get the colorism from? Her mother. Who did she pass those on to? Her son and her daughter. Her son and her daughter would spout that shit every single day to both me and my little sister. So I would hear every day, you African booty scratcher, you ugly, dark skin is bad, Biggie Smalls is disgusting. Like, I would hear all of this stuff, and it was purely based on just having dark skin. This is a kid who was like brown skin, reddish color, right? So it all depends. Like, if you grew up with that, you wouldn't be who you are. You would be a completely different person. You would probably be more like me. Then I moved to the DMV. And the DMV is notorious for roasting and cooking and joning and talking shit. And that's all I heard from the time I was in the 4th grade all the way up until I was in fucking college. I was still experiencing colorism in college, in the DMV area. So that's part of the reason why I would bring it up at college. And that's how I met my friends, whatever, right? But that's an example. Just because you are also a dark-skinned person does not mean you're going to have the same thought process or experiences as another, right? You hear black people do this, man, racism is some bullshit, blah, 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 blah. And then you'll see another random black person come out of nowhere and be like, I've never experienced racism. And they'll tell you that it's not real and things of that nature. And they're wholly using it to shut you up. They're not using it for any other reason. They're not even using it to add another perspective. They're just using it as a way to shut you up, like that person was in that comment that I posted. So understand that just because you didn't experience it, because you didn't end up getting turned to a coon because you experienced roasting and colorism constantly from not only in your household, you were experiencing it at school, you're experiencing it on a playground, then you turn on a TV and you're experiencing it there. And again, everybody might not accept the programming like I did. And when I realized it when I was 14 years old, I started doing the work to change that. But a lot of people don't ever get there because they feel like this subject is a petty subject and they just believe what is told to them and they just move with the crowd. They don't go against the grain. However, I'm one of the people who go against the grain. It just took until I was 14 to understand that or to start that, right? At least that part of my social awareness. But yeah, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe.